Well, as we've been reporting, Attorney General Jeff Sessions is under pressure over his contacts with the Russian ambassador to the U.S. during the presidential campaign. Senator Sessions at this time did not disclose those meetings during his confirmation hearing, and now some Republicans say he should recuse himself from investigations of Russian involvement in the U.S. election. As government attorneys ask the White House to preserve any records related to Russia. It's all about Russia still. Joining us now to break this all down, Judge Andrew Napolitano, Fox News senior judicial analyst. I feel like we need to take a deep breath.
Yeah, we do. Everything's happening on our watch and very quickly.
So on this particular story regarding Attorney General Jeff Sessions,
right,
what's your take on it? What's your legal opinion here?
My legal opinion is that before anybody can be charged with perjury, the court has to exclude all non-lying interpretations of the statement. And I think a very rational interpretation of the Q&A between Senator Franken and then Senator Sessions was that Senator Sessions thought he was being asked, have you spoken to the Russian ambassador about the campaign? Which he said no. He wasn't asked, have you ever spoken to the Russian ambassador about anything, because he had another job, which was a member of the Senate Armed Services Committee, in which apparently there is often contact between members of that committee and ambassadors.
A spokeswoman, I should say, for Attorney General Sessions came out today and said that he had meetings with 25 different ambassadors. And
right,
one of the said meetings with and I should say meetings in quotes, because it was after a speech that Senator Sessions had given, the ambassador came up and talked to him at that event. It
right,
wasn't necessarily a nefarious act
right,
as being listed.
I don't think this is a case of perjury with regard
because that's what some Democrats are alleging.
Some Democrats are saying that. Others are saying, well, he was a member of the Senate. He should have known that it was a broad question, and he should have said, yes, I spoke to the ambassador about this, but it wasn't about the campaign. But the issue that is front and center this morning is the following. The FBI has been investigating the Trump campaign for a couple of months, even after Donald Trump became the President of the United States, starting beforehand, to determine whether or not there was any involvement by the Russians in the campaign or any effort by the Russians to influence the outcome of the election. If Jeff Sessions was a part of that campaign, and it appears he was, he can't really be the boss of the FBI while they investigate it.
So it sounds like you're saying that it should be something to be considered that he would recuse himself.
Yeah, and recusal is not a mark of shame. It's actually a mark of doing the right thing ethically, so that not only is there no impropriety, there isn't even the appearance of impropriety. It just also means that the decisions would be made by the number 2 person in the Justice Department. Now, it gets a little dicey here, because President Trump has nominated his choice for the number 2
right,
person in the Justice Department, and his confirmation hearings are next week. Right now, the number 2 person in the Justice Department, also a choice of President Trump, is a career Justice Department prosecutor. He would be making decisions until the number 2 is actually confirmed.
So that brings to the question whether or not the American public can trust the investigation that is taking place right now.
I think the American public can trust Jeff Sessions, but I think they'd have more trust in this if a person who was arguably involved in the campaign was not involved in the investigation of the campaign.
Let's just put this in context as well. It's not just the last 24 hours. This story about Russia's quote-unquote meddling with the U.S. campaign has been ongoing for weeks.
Yes.
You just wrote a piece, in fact, on some of the leaks that we've seen back and forth about this investigation. The latest being that the White House apparently had a conversation with the FBI. The FBI saying there's no there on a certain part of the investigation. This was the leading story until Donald Trump's address to Congress that
yes,
was receiving some compliments. And then suddenly there's more leaks yet again about so we're seeing this trickle of information.
You know,
I'm just wondering legally how you see this.
When the president rails against the press, you can understand his anger, because there are 2 categories of leaks. One are leaks of national secrets, leaks from the intelligence community intended to embarrass, humiliate, or manipulate the president. They do this by revealing. They also do it by concealing, by not telling their bosses and ultimately the president everything he needs to know to make national security secrets. Those are crimes, and those are being investigated by the FBI. The other series of leaks are leaks from within the White House of Oval Office gossip. Those are a pain in the neck to the president, so to speak, but they're not crimes.
Gossip in general.
The gossip is being investigated by the White House legal counsel. The intelligence community leaks are being investigated by the FBI. All these leaks are being reported in the press. They all infuriate the man in the Oval Office, and they all impede his ability to do what he wants to do.
I do think it's important to underscore as a journalist that we don't have facts of wrongdoing yet in any of these different circles, and that's what we're waiting for. So we'll see what facts present themselves.
But we are free to discuss it,
of course,
and free to ask questions
as we are right now.
Right.
Judge, thank you.
Pleasure, Jenna.